Well, we had a big learning year this year with this new crop that, well, it's not new, it's actually the native crop here called finger millet. And it has actually been excellent. So this is some of what we've learned. It does really well. Let's see it here. So we've already harvested this. So you can see this is kind of dead behind me. It grows very much like a wheat, very low, grassy, creates these heads. These are, let's see if there's a good head here. Kind of like this, that has these little fingers on it, and each of these little fingers will give you about 100 grains. And we've been really impressed with this because we've grown it on a very poor piece of soil here, and it's done really well. Against a native grain, we grew it in a drought year on bad soil, and we're still getting a really good multiplication on this, which is actually, honestly, it's like the king of multiplication from what I can figure it out mathematically, because each of these little fingers on this is going to give you about 100 grains. And this one isn't a very good one. They usually have 5 or 6 fingers. And then on the decent soil, well, moderately bad soil, we were getting up to 12 tillers off of every plant. So on the poor soil, really poor soil, we're getting at least 3. So that's still pretty good. Off of the good plants, we're getting, what, I think the math is like 8,000 times multiplication, which is awesome. That's really good. There are 2 issues with this plant that we've come across thus far. The first one's easily surmountable, and that is that the plant looks very much, in its small phase, like our predominant weed here. So it's very difficult to weed if you don't know what is a weed and what is your actual finger millet. Now this is pretty easily surmountable. What we did is we planted it in a small area. We sowed it in a small area, and then we transplanted it here just using a garden fork, putting little holes, and it transplanted excellently. And then it's in rows, so you kind of know what it is. You don't have to worry about if you're pulling the weed or the plant. So that's surmountable. The major issue with this, and I can see why people have gone away from it for something like corn, is going to have to do with the processing. As you can see, the grains are inside there, and they are minute, really. Let's see if I can get some out. Yeah, if you look down here, where are we? There we are. You can see the grains are super tiny, which makes it difficult to work with, there's no doubt. So getting it off the heads, processing it is going to be a challenge. And this is where technology comes in, because there is technology available, because this crop, while it is native to Africa, it's almost unheard of in our area now. It's kind of a lost grain. It is still grown significantly in India. So there's technology to deal with the processing of it. But we started out with an ounce, a tiny ounce of this seed, and we have collected buckets worth now. So I wish I had the final count on it. We don't, because as you see, we're still collecting it out here, but we're going to have some major multiplication, and now we are going to go into the next phase, and that is we're going to plant it now in the dry season to see if this is a photosensitive plant or not. We don't know. This is a grain that we got from some lady that she's had stored in the house for forever, which is the other amazing thing about this crop, because it's nutritious for one thing, and also its storage is, they say, up to 50 years, because the grains are so small that the weevils that do all the damage to the corn and the sorghum, which we're looking at usually about 30% post-harvest loss, is nil. They can't get into it, they don't bother with it. So it can stay viable for years and years to come, which is another huge benefit to this crop. So we've had a really good experience with this. We're really looking forward to doing more of this, and hopefully this next year with the seed that we've planted, or that we've harvested, we're going to plant a huge area, and we're going to see what we can do.